Hi, hello. This is our final group presentation about Facebook privacy concerns. Background about Facebook. Facebook was founded in 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg, who was a student at Harvard University. Facebook became one of the largest social networks in the world. In 2021, Facebook has 2.8 billion monthly active users. It also has 1.8 billion users that are visiting the social network site on a daily basis. Facebook earns most of its money from advertising. Now we'll go through the privacy concerns of Facebook. In 2007, Facebook developed an advertisement system called Beacon, which allowed third-party companies to track purchases by Facebook users and then notify their Facebook friends of what they have been bought without the user consent. One of the main concerns was that Beacon did not give the user the option to block the information from being sent. The service was controversial and became a target of a lawsuit that resulted in shutting down the service in 2009. In 2011, third-party apps were able to access nearly all of the user personal data without the permission of the Facebook users. In 2013, a bug that leaked the email addresses and phone numbers of over 6 million Facebook users. Facebook users who download contact data from their list of friends obtain additional information that they were not supposed to have. The bug was discovered by white hat hackers, and Facebook fixes the bug and notify those people who were exposed. In 2014, Facebook mood manipulation experiment included more than 500,000 randomly selected users. Facebook altered their news feed to show more positive or negative posts. The purpose of the study was to show how emotion could spread on social media. But this study was done without an informed consent to the users. The result was published in the Proceeding of the National Academy of Science. Adam Kramer, the Facebook data scientist who led the experiment, posted an apology on Facebook, and 4 years later, the experiment no longer appears to be online. In 2015, Facebook cuts off apps from taking all the data they want. Because what was happening before that, if a person A downloads an app, the app can access data from person B just because they're friends. In 2018, it's believed that hackers access more than 50 million records on Facebook, which means they could see all the private messages, posts, likes, video, photos, notes, and they even had an access to private information such as full name, hometown, gender, date of birth, and possibly even phone number. In 2018, Facebook admitted to the unlawful transfer of 50 million user profiles to the data analytic firm called Cambridge Analytica, which harvested the data without the user consent. Cambridge Analytica was able to collect the private information for around 270,000 users with their extensive friend networks. By including those 270,000 in a survey, and in that and they provide them a consent saying that the data will be used for academic use. But the data were used for political advertisement. So the third-party application scraped the data of the users and their friend without their knowledge or consent. So around 87 million users have their data exposed. In 2021, the exposed data include the personal information of over 533 million Facebook users from 106 countries around the world. The data including Facebook ID numbers, names, gender, phone numbers, and some record also includes birth dates, location, relationship status, and employer. Most of this data does not seem to have been acquired through a typical data breach. It, and it did not collected by breaking into the Facebook's database. Instead, it was scraped from information that users themselves made visible.
Implication of the privacy concerns on Facebook. Facebook privacy concern affects people's decision. The user's data was sold to political consulting firm and Cambridge Analytica, who is known for supporting and advertising conservative political figures, movements such as Trump and the Brexit campaign. Cambridge Analytica would later use this data to influence the 2016 presidential election by targeting pro-Trump advertisement towards many of the American liberal demographics. Legal implications. Zuckerberg was faced with charges for privacy by exploiting what users have bought onto their news feed without their consent. Zuckerberg apologized and gave users the option to opt out of the feature. Following that, the Federal Trade Commission stepped in and Facebook agreed to undergo an independent privacy evaluation every year or the year for the next 20 years. In April 2015, they cut off all ties with other apps that had access to Facebook users' information. Facebook had one big issue. It wasn't enabled to keep track of how many developers were using previously downloaded data prior to the ban. And this led to the Cambridge Analytica scandal that was mentioned earlier. Facebook responds to their legal implications. They introduced simplified control feature, which promise few things. One simple control that steps privacy to friends, everyone or friends of friends. The control applies to all content, and the control plays to every new Facebook feature going forward. A statement from Facebook said that this will give users simple control to determine whether the information was visible to only friends, friends of friends, or everyone on the internet. Those settings will be applied retroactively to everything users have already published on Facebook. Moreover, Mark Zuckerberg reinstated the policy of doing ongoing manual and automated checks to make sure apps that are linked to Facebook are complying with the policy. Furthermore, Zuckerberg apologized for the breach of trust that Facebook exhibited in Variety of News, in The Guardian in 2018, The Washington Post in 2018, stating, "We have a responsibility to protect your data, and if we can't, then we don't deserve to serve you." He noted that the company has already changed some of the rules that enable the breach, but added, "We also made mistakes. There's more to do, and we need to step up and do it." Some of the recommendations provided to help Facebook with their privacy and security concerns are the following. 3 main parties are involved: the policymaker, the shareholders, and the consumers. Facebook must prove to shareholders that revenue does not only need to be generated through advertisement, rather through other means, such as elite membership and interest on other apps that are linked to it. Furthermore, policymakers can sketch new terms and regulation concerning policies bringing down Facebook revenue. Furthermore, Facebook can apply their energy, time, and assets into editing and changing their product development and internal policy on privacy to better serve consumers.